Good morning. I'm Reverend Rose, the minister here at SMUUCh. It is a joy to see you and an honor to be broadcast into your home from my home. This month, we are asking ourselves, what does it mean to be a people of beloved community? Here to talk about this very subject is a guest minister, Emily Bruce, who will be speaking to us about what it means to be in power with others, as opposed to having power over others or being disempowered ourselves. We are so glad to have her here with us today. Now, a quick note about power. Throughout our service, we are going to be doing mantras about power, thinking about having power, giving power, etc. And I encourage us to think about power not as a nefarious or hungry thing, but as a beautiful, energetic empowerment that empowers the best inside of us and the best amongst us. Because together we are better. Together we are a courageous church. Together we are a courageous country, a courageous globe.
Good morning. My name is Emily Bruce, and I'm honored to be with you as your guest speaker this morning. Our call to worship comes from the Reverend Kimberly Tomzak Carlson, who is the Minister of Religious Education at the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community. A people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, and a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship.
I'm gonna
Please join me in affirming that love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
So February is Black History Month, which is an annual celebration of the achievements of Black people and African Americans in this country, and also a time for recognizing their central role in US history. It's also a time for thinking about the history of racism in this country, starting with slavery 400 years ago on up to today, where Black people still face many issues of poor education, healthcare, and inequality of many kinds. So today we're going to hear a story about the history of a very important Black man who fought against racism in this country, and that is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You can see his face right there on the cover of the book. I'm going to read you a story called Martin's Big Words, which was written by Doreen Rappaport and illustrated by Brian Collier. Now, everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw the signs, whites only. There you can see him with his mother as he's a little boy pointing at the whites only sign. His mother said those signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. And every time Martin read those words, he felt really bad until he remembered what his mother told him. And she said, "Martin, you are as good as anyone." When Martin went to church with his family, he sang hymns and he read from the Bible, and he listened to his father preach. And those words made him feel really, really good. So Martin thought to himself, when I grow up, I'm going to get some big words too. And Martin did grow up. He became a preacher just like his father. And he used the big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible and from worship. And Martin said, everyone can be great. And he went on, he studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, and he learned how the Indian nation won freedom for themselves without ever once firing a gun. Martin said love when so many others said hate. And he said, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Martin said together when everyone else said separate. Martin said peace when everyone else said war. Martin said sooner or later, all of the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. She was sitting on the bus, and a white man told her to get up from her seat so that he could sit down. But Rosa Parks said no. And unfortunately, the police arrested her for saying no. When Montgomery's Black citizens learned of her arrest, they got really angry. And they decided to protest her arrest by not riding the bus until they were allowed to sit anywhere they wanted. So for 381 days, that's longer than a whole year, if you think about it. 381 days, they walked. They walked to work, they walked to school, they walked to church, they walked in the rain, they walked in the cold, they walked in the blistering heat of summer. And Martin went to Alabama and walked with them. He walked with them and he talked with them and he sang with them and he prayed with them. And finally, the white city leaders had to agree that Black citizens should be able to sit wherever they wanted. When they finally won that right, Martin said, when the history books are written, someone will say that there lived Black people who had the courage the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, Black Americans from all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with all of them and talked with all of them and sang with all of them and prayed with all of them. Many white ministers told them to stop. Many mayors and governors and police chiefs and even judges ordered them to stop, but they kept on marching. Martin said, "Wait. For years, I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights." They were jailed and beaten, and some of them were murdered. But they kept on marching. Some Black Americans wanted to fight back in anger with their fists, but Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. He said to them, "Love is the key. Love is the key to the problems of the world." Now, many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed. His brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. He said to his friends, "Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped because God is with this movement." So the marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and he filled those who listened to him with hope. He said to them, "I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little Black boys and Black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers." After 10 years of protests, the lawmakers in Washington finally voted to end the segregation of Black and white people. And those whites only signs that Martin saw all over the place when he was a boy, those whites only signs finally came down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others how to fight with words and not fists. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee, and he went to help garbage collectors who were there on strike. He walked with them and he talked with them and he sang with them and he prayed with them. On his second day there, Martin was shot and he died. But Martin's big words and the legacy he leaves for all of us is still very much alive today. One of the biggest lessons that Martin Luther King taught us is how we can all overcome hatred with love by what is called peaceful resistance. So that means that we don't fight back with mean words or hurtful acts, but we stand up against hatred with peace and with courage. That means we use our power to fight for change in a positive way, and we don't add hatred to the world, we bring love to it. Thank you, Martin, for that lesson for all of us.
It is now time for our embodiment moment. Our embodiment moment is a liturgical element that we decided to put into the service during quarantine to make sure that we are moving our bodies, because animals in captivity do experience physiological changes because of it. So the things that we do in this embodiment moment are never supposed to hurt. They are gentle and pleasant feeling. So today, because we're talking about empowerment, I invite you to take your hands, create a fist, and then we are going to just raise our arms up. Just very, very gently. We're just going to do it 5 times. So you can notice, are there any spots that hurt? Is this hard? Is this easy? Maybe you can only go like this. That's okay. The point of this is just to notice where we need to do work and to get our blood flowing and to say, power. Take a deep breath. And then we'll just go like this. Make that powerful fist. Okay, thanks for participating in the embodiment moment. This is the time in our service where we expand the caring love of our community, where we draw to heart and mind those in our midst who are suffering and those who feel the sweet relief of their burdens easing. Today, we think of those who are in the midst of a power struggle, those who are trying to name and deal with the power differentials in their lives, those who are hoping to find power in themselves, and those who seek to support others in their power. We think of all the systems, the family systems, the workplace systems, the government systems, which so badly need a break right now. And we draw to mind those who are powerless to their addiction. And of course, we stand in solidarity with those who have struggled to get their voices heard for so long. Let us do our first mantra of the day. So close your eyes, breathe in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And repeat after me, either out loud or in your mind. I am powerful. I am powerful. I am powerful. Take another deep breath. Let the corners of your lips turn up in a smile. And you may open your eyes. As always, we give our love to those untangling themselves from relationships which no longer serve them. We grieve for the loss of energy and time that chronic illness takes upon the body, and our hearts go out to all who are struggling to make ends meet, especially at this time of year, especially this year. We extend our gratitude to those who make caring for children their primary spiritual practice, and we join in wonder with all people who are bravely facing their final days. And as always, we rejoice over the exquisite beauty in this world, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty might be. Our reading today comes from Brené Brown. She says that the most accurate and important definition of power that I've ever come across is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In a 1968 speech given to striking sanitation workers in Memphis, Dr. King defined power as the ability to achieve purpose and affect change. She goes on to say, we have a very strange relationship with the word power. We often think of it as a negative, as kind of a strong arm experience, where we either feel pressure or like something's being taken away from us. One of the single worst human experiences for all of us is powerlessness. No one wants to feel powerless. It's a desperate and isolating experience. What makes power dangerous, and what we never talk about, is how power is used. People who use power over others work from the premise that power is finite, that it has to be hoarded and protected. And power over is protected by using fear. Fear is one of the primary tools for those that lead from a place of power over. Further, people who work from a position of power over believe being right is more important than getting it right. However, people who work from a position of power with, that is, power with others, have a completely different foundational framework. They believe that power becomes infinite and expands when it's shared with others. There's a core fundamental belief that power with is expansive when we collaborate and when we share it with others. Those who work from a position of power with believe that getting it right is more important than being right. End quote. And now let us do our second mantra. So close your eyes once more. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I invite you to draw to mind someone with whom you are in a power struggle. Because it is said that opposite action is often the best route, draw them to mind and repeat after me. You are powerful. You are powerful. You are powerful. Send them the type of power which is the empowerment, power with power, the power of kindness, the power of goodness, the power of collaboration. Once again, let the corners of your lips turn up. Enjoying this beautiful day, let us listen to a homily.
Good morning again, friends. Thank you for having me join you today as your guest speaker through the magic of this technology. It's wonderful to have this gift of taking part in your service this morning. I must start this sermon with a little bit of a confession. I find myself in a strange state these days. Maybe some of you can relate to this. I'm a bit jumpy, I'm irritable, I'm exhausted, yet unable to really rest. I feel like I keep waiting for something bad to happen, and I have to continually remind myself that everything is okay. Now, of course, everything's not okay, as we all know, as this pandemic rages on for an 11th month in a row. And these feelings I'm having are no doubt pandemic brain at its best, or worst, one might say. We're all feeling the strain as we move closer to one full year of social distancing, masking, isolation, and all of the frustrations and the feelings that go along with that. But if I'm being honest, that's not all of it. So it's been a couple weeks since the inauguration of our new president. And I watched that inauguration ceremony, as I'm sure some of you did, inspired and joyful and frankly relieved at the peaceful transfer of power. But since then, I've been uneasy. I've been scared about the potential threat of more violence, and I'm seeking calm and comfort wherever I can. And if I'm really being honest, the impeachment trial last week and its outcome did not help with those feelings at all. But the thing is, I've started to come to grips with these feelings that I've been talking about here as unprocessed grief and anger over the divisions laid bare in our country these last several years. This entire country, no matter your political affiliation, has suffered through lots of conflict and acrimony these last few years. I'm grappling with what it feels like wholesale abuses of power and privilege that seem to have emerged from all corners of our culture over the last few years. The posturing, the aggression, the cruel words, and the vicious, vicious actions. It's as if a Pandora's box of hate was spilled out into the world, and now we have to find a way to clean it up. We have to find a way to somehow heal from all of that division and move on. And that feels really, really hard to me, on most days anyway. But the thing is, that hate and those abuses of power were already present in our culture, right? I mean, they weren't created in the last few years. They've been going on for centuries. Here's what I mean. So the legacy of this country that we were all taught in school is one of freedom. But what we've learned as adults is it's actually freedom for some through the oppression of others. We celebrate a legacy of religious liberty in this country, but usually that means that religion has to come with a specific kind of God. Our great American democratic experiment has produced an amazing and wonderful country, a beacon for the world, truly. But it has also been an exercise in the abuse of power. I think those two different things can be true at the exact same time. See, the white men and women who came to this country seeking freedom found it in part through the eradication of Native Americans and the oppression of African slaves. And that legacy has continued to unspool over the last 400 years. Freedom is not actually freedom for all. These last few years have made that truth so much more visible to me, I think, than ever before. We've had a leader and many supporters who have embraced their privilege to have power over others, who have taken the current inequities of our system and only built on them, hoarding power for themselves and their kind. Connecting our current moment of conflict and division with this legacy of power and oppression was frankly crystallizing for me. It helped me see this moment within the context of our American history. And to be honest, it made me angry. This is not the first time I've connected with this anger, and it surely won't be the last. But I'll tell you something, with this past year of anxiety and exhaustion and worry, being angry can be liberating. I find that I'm angry at the hypocritical ways that we as a country choose to remember and tell the story of our history. I'm upset at the ways our system seems to put people down, keep them down, and then blame them for not pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. I'm upset at all the many ways so many Black and Brown people are kept imprisoned, kept sick, and kept uneducated. And to be honest, I'm angry at myself for benefiting so freely from a system that has caused centuries of harm and pain to so many others. The ways that power is used and abused by those who possess it is important to understanding our American culture. And we don't talk much about power. We don't reckon with the shifting dynamics of it and how it can be used in both positive and negative ways. Our reading this morning by the social researcher Brene Brown laid out two fundamentally different understandings of power. There's power over, which she describes as working from the premise that power is finite, that it has to be hoarded and protected. The other kind of power, power with, is defined as a power that becomes infinite and expands when it is shared with others. So power over utilizes fear as a means of control, and power with uses love as a means for growth. Power over operates in a scarcity mindset where there's only so much to go around, so you have to take as much as you can and hold on tight to it. Power with, on the other hand, operates in a mindset of abundance. So where sharing with others is actually generative, and it ensures that there will always be enough to go around. Power over is guided by hate and fear, but power with is guided by love. After reading about these two understandings of power, I came to the conclusion that power over has done a lot of harm to our country and to our humanity. But power with can offer the path to healing and justice that so many of us want. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we already know this, right? Power over has no place in our beloved community. Power with is the friend to inherent worth and dignity, the interconnected web, the democratic process, and of course, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And yet, there's just as much power over here as there is anywhere else. Now, when I say that, you have to consider the spectrum of power over. So there's heinous acts like slavery and the eradication of Native Americans on one end, and then all the way at the other end are a million tiny, often unconscious acts of power over that we all do all the time. For example, like interrupting someone when they're talking just because you want to make your own point. That's exerting your power over another person. Also, like making unilateral decisions without checking with the people that decision will affect just because you think you know best. That's also an example of exerting your power over other people. I bet you could all make your own lists of all the ways you have witnessed or used your own power over other people. But let me be clear, this is a condition that affects all human beings. No one is exempt from this because, like it or not, exerting our power feels good. It really does. For some, it's intoxicating. For others, it's how they access their authority. And for many, if not most of us, myself included, it gives us a sense of control when the world often feels out of control. And the world has often felt out of control these last few years. So wrestling with these truths is so important. We are all susceptible to the uses and abuses of power by the mere fact of being born in these bodies of ours. So if we want the world of justice and peace that we all work so hard for, especially in this faith, we have to find ways to make the shift in ourselves from power over to power with. The civil rights figure, Gwendolyn Zoharah Simmons, says it this way: we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. We must change ourselves in order to change the world. Now, that feels like a mighty and maybe impossible task. I feel it too. Change is easy to want, but not easy to do. So whenever I start to despair over the seeming impossibility of affecting positive change, which happens a lot, I go back again and again and again to the wise words of Joanna Macy. For those who don't know who she is, Joanna Macy is a Buddhist scholar, an author, and an environmental activist. She's also the person who coined the term the Great Turning. Macy defines this theory of the Great Turning as the essential adventure of our time, the shift from the industrial growth society to a life-sustaining civilization. The Great Turning is a turning to a realization that we cannot continue to live this way without destroying everything, including ourselves. This theory addresses our political systems, our pervasive white supremacist and patriarchal culture, our overinvestment in military defense, and the devastating rate of consumption that is rapidly depleting our planet and its natural resources. The Great Turning insists that we all find new ways to live in relationship with each other, with our resources, and with the planet as a whole. I find this theory so inspiring and so motivating because for me, power with is born in this great turning. By shifting our focus from consumption and hoarding to sharing and loving, we generate the possibilities of power with in this world. Our ability to collaborate and cooperate makes our power expansive and infinite. The more we love and help each other, the stronger and more resilient we all will become. When I think about it with that kind of framing, I find hope. I find hope that maybe this power over that we've been experiencing, especially the last several years, is not the sign of what's to come. Maybe instead, it's the dying gasps of a system that cannot and will not survive this great turning. That the hatred and the spite are not signs of more to come, but are instead the death throes of a dying and decrepit system. That perhaps this great turning is already well underway. And if we all can find a way to hook in, it will guide us into this new life-sustaining civilization that we are all aching to see. Our Time for All Ages this morning reminded us of Martin Luther King's famous words: hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. My friends, power over has had too much time in the sun. We have all suffered under the yoke of scarcity, hoarding resources, and hate driven by fear. It is now time for power with to reign, a power that creates, a power that shares, a power that loves. A power with that means power to all the people, everywhere, every day, and every one. May it be so. Amen.
And now please join me for a meditation followed by our final mantra. So I invite you to close your eyes once more. Find some length in your spine. Put your feet flat on the floor, your hands in your lap. Adopting a friendly feeling towards yourself, gratitude to yourself for doing the hard work of spiritual wellness. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Noticing what words stood out to you from the sermon. What phrase might you gather up and take with you? Grounding down deep into your belly, take a really deep breath deep into your belly like it's a balloon filling slowly with water. Then when you breathe out, imagine it's just coming out of a spout at your heart. When you breathe in peace. When you breathe out love. And now lastly, I'd like you to draw to mind a community that is beloved to you. Of course, you might think of this church, which does so much to lift people up, or you might think of your work group, or your family, your neighborhood, or maybe you think of your nation. Maybe you think of humanity. Draw to mind a group of people with whom you want to be in power with. And repeat after me. We are powerful. We are powerful. We are powerful. Take one more deep breath. Give yourself a great thanks and an I love you for showing up today and for doing all the hard work that you do of being a good person and working on yourself and working on the world. You can give yourself a hug, a squeeze, especially if you are alone in your home. Give yourself some pats, a big hug. Blessed be, and amen. The work of the church depends on us. In the context of global and national strife, SMUUCh can create and foster space for connection and growth. We invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
Too much to say, too much to lose. I get frustrated thinking about the world I brought you to. It's a battle of time that I have with you. We don't decide the how, the when, or if we make it through. I feel that you deserve a chance to know the truth and to be better than the ones who came before you, only to let pride and money weaken them. So be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause the world is standing waiting for someone to come and change it. Yeah, be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause we need a soul to save us, need someone to be the greatest. So many words veiling the truth. The earth is turning and it's time for us to choose. And people will try to take you down too. But if I was a betting man, I'd put all my money on you. So be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause the world is standing waiting for someone to come and change it. Yeah, be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause we need a soul to save us, need someone to be the greatest. Nobody knows what to say, nobody shows you the way. Sometimes it's hard to see who you're gonna be. So be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause the world is standing waiting for someone to come and change it. Be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause we need a soul to save us, need someone to be the greatest. Be the young, the brave, the powerful, 'cause the world is standing waiting for someone to come and change it. Be the young, the brave, the powerful,
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us in our hearts until we are together again.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
And now let us do our mantradiction, knowing what we know now about power with, that a great, infinite, collaborative energy which affects change on the world is the power that we're after. Please close your eyes and repeat after me. I am powerful. You are powerful. We are powerful. This week, I invite you to notice whom you can lift up and how you can feel in yourself that infinite sense of collaborative energy. Blessed be. Go in peace.